Hey guys, and welcome to Chapter 2, which is titled Working Inside a Computer. Now, during this chapter, you will learn how to work inside a computer case, a standard computer case, and see how the different components are removed and then replaced in a case. We'll also talk about cooling methods for computer cases, and then lastly, we will discuss how the different power supply usages can be factored into making sure that you get the correct power supply unit for your desktop computer. The objectives are just as such. You'll learn how to take a computer apart, put it back together, learn about the methods and devices for keeping your computer system cool, and learning how to select a power supply to meet all the power needs of your system. So first we will talk about how to work inside a computer case, where everyone that's being a PC technician, whether you're being paid for it or you're doing it at home, you should all know how to take a computer apart and put it back together again. This is a very simple skill that you need to have so that you know how to work inside your computer. Okay, so we have several steps we're going to perform. The first step is to plan and organize your work. One of the steps that's not listed that I prefer to use in the real world is to take advantage of your smartphones or digital cameras, and that's to take pictures of the steps as you're performing them. The book says to make notes for backtracking. This is a very good thing to do as well, so that especially in an organization, if you need to do this on more than one occasion, if you document the procedure, then someone that follows you into that role will know how to do that, be able to perform that task as needed. Always make sure you take off any jewelry that might get caught inside a computer, whether it's a watch, rings, different types of jewelry that might be loose. Make sure you take that off so that you don't risk any injury or damage. Try to be organized in keeping everything in certain places so that when you go to put things back together, it's easy to complete that task. Never ever stack any type of motherboards on top of each other, as you will definitely risk damage to these, so they are very brittle. Never touch your board chips either with your hands or a magnetized screwdriver. There's also various other components that we'll talk about throughout the course that you want to make sure that you don't put your fingers onto, as you can create damage to those components. This should be common sense, but never touch inside of a computer that's turned on. Make sure that you always disconnect the power supply coming from the wall to the computer, and then do a power cycle holding the power button in for a few seconds to make sure that you get rid of any residual power inside the computer. As we're trying to fix things, sometimes we kind of forget some of the simple things, but make sure to watch out for sharp edges. There are many sharp edges on the inside of a computer that can cause damage to your body, so make sure that you're watching out for those sharp edges. Another key point here to keep in mind is loose clothing. As you have like longer shirts on, make sure to roll those sleeves back or whatever when you get into work, because they can catch on those sharp edges, create a snag, and even cause you to possibly turn over a computer onto the floor as you catch that snag and you try to instinctively rip your arm away from it. You might tip over the computer, or maybe you just create a mess, but let's try to avoid that. Step 2 is open the computer case and examine the system. Before you do any type of work, such as taking any components out, make sure you've backed up your important data somehow, whether it's to a flash drive, an external hard drive, cloud storage, disk, whatever the case may be. Always back up your important data when you're working on PCs. As I said, power the system down and unplug it. Make sure that you unplug it and do a power cycle by holding the power button in for 3 seconds to drain any type of residual power. Have some type of something to keep your screws and parts organized. Some people use a Ziploc bag to throw all the screws in and keep them organized with like hard drives and any type of disk media, stuff like that. Another thing you might want to think about is like white paper is usually pretty easily gotten, so you can lay things out, even write on the sheets of paper, or maybe a white pillowcase, just a white piece of plastic would be better, such as like those really thin, flexible white cutting boards. Just something to keep your parts organized, even if you're getting those little storage containers that you can keep screws and stuff in. Just have something nearby. Now, in the book, you'll see many pictures about opening the case cover. Case covers open in different styles. You may have thumb screws. You may just have Phillips screws that you need to take out. You may just have a tab, a locking tab that you grab and pull up, and then you can slide the cover off. Whenever you go to remove the side panel to get inside your computer, always make sure that you look at the connectors on the back of the computer, because you want to put the side that has the connectors down onto your surface so that you know that your motherboard will be facing upwards. When you slide that cover off, you'll be looking at it. Another tip is, if you're working in an environment that is, kind of dirty, make sure that you take this computer case outside or to an area that you can kind of spray it out with some compressed air prior to doing any work inside. You don't want to get all of the dust or any type of debris inside your work area, as well as that can create other problems in other equipment that you've got nearby. Once you've got the side of the case opened up and you can see everything, this is a really good point, like I'm saying, to take out your smartphone or tablet or whatever device to take pictures, to have a starting point at least for what it looked like when you first got in there, so that when you go to put things back in, you put them in correctly. Or having that starter picture, you might, as you're looking at it, realize that someone, if you're doing some type of repair, had already been inside there and connected something incorrectly. I can't stress that tip enough, guys.